Another morning again inside we had plenty things then they happen. I wonder how news again what go here today. But this be small country we had. Anyway, before I go to the wahala now we had, I just go to the kitchen and check my colors.
Yes, colors. Some man really like for it in the morning. Some people say them just like when they eat don't sleep. Other people say na the cow they like, especially when they cook the soup or plasas where they like pass all. So now that make we dey bring to you this program where we call Colres, as we dey look at different story them na the front page and inside the newspaper. So not forget to join me on Monday to Friday, both Facebook and YouTube. Usai we go bring to una different guests them where they can help for talk about the newspaper. We are channel for the people, the voice of the voiceless.
Another morning again inside we had plenty things then they happen. Good morning, and welcome to another edition of a program where we call Colgate Right on We Are on YouTube and on Facebook. Today on Monday, of course, now the 14th day inside the month of March 2023. We don't come for watch different papers them and then analyze the different story them we don't come out of the day. And we two guests them we get for join we inside the program today for let we rub more inside then different issues so we don't come up from the different newspaper them inside the program this morning. And we go to the first paper for this morning. We will begin with for look at the different story them they don't carry, and then later after I don't watch all of the paper them we get to the come inside, and can analyze the different issues them. Basically not all of the issue them go able for analyze, but a few way we get go able for watch and quick one and see waiting we can put in place for make sure say we able for get the different issues them done. The first paper we look inside this morning now the Minute newspaper. The Minute newspaper say political manifestos should speak to gender equality. Nasu Fofana stresses, and then you get Farm will talk peace. Mothers embrace peaceful 2023 elections plan. The Judicial commits to support female journalists. This is another story for you inside the Minute newspaper. The next one at the Times we say Bio's new direction, misdirection, lost direction, worst direction, no direction. Samuel Kamara never lies. And this is another story for you inside the Times newspaper. The next one this morning, now the Indigenous newspaper, we say Minister of Basic Education and Senior Secondary Education of Basic and Senior Secondary Education engaged / on gains attained. And you as well get citizens advice to frown at political cross-carpeting. And then Standard Chartered Bank you host exclusive Liverpool FC match viewing event for clients. This is another story for you inside this edition of the Indigenous. And of course, you get Bank Governor extends transition period old to new LEONE to 31st December 2023. We go to the next paper inside the program this morning when a political is a Judgment Day for LAJ. And again, graphics new detail from Sumaila town killings. Stereotype for straight locals. And Wimsal to support female journalists, female politicians. There's another story for you inside this edition of the Politico. The next one now focus 24/7 on National Development Plan. SLAM Sliska and to hold workshop for NGOs dealing with seed. European Union provides 5 million euros for women empowerment projects. Nancy trains journalists on informal sector scheme. Bio makes exemplary progress on land issues. This is another story for you inside the Focus 24/7. C4D media say complicit in endemic corruption, cronyism, wasteful spending, reckless mega projects, unemployment, and high cost of living. Citizens caught between SLPP and APC for next president. Needless outcry, APC to choose right running mate today. And you as well get overcome the challenge to national unity and cohesion in Sierra Leone part 2. This is another story for you inside this edition of you see for the media. The next one we get at the Global Times, we say US VP to visit Africa. And then you get Marampa Mine's mother, PC Koblo Queen speaks out, and police determined to curb human trafficking. This is another story for you inside this edition of the Global Times. Standard Times newspaper say fake affordable home scheme. CEO in ACC net. British Foreign Secretary visits Salone. You get 4 female inmates released as Joan say rescues 9. There's another story for you inside the Standard Times. And the next one for this morning, Independent Observer, we say Dr. Senge engages journalists on policy, radical inclusion, and impacts on education. More time for Old Leon. The issue of APC running mate, a do or die. This is another story for you inside Independent Observer. The next one at the open space, we say for bigger, better impact, Fatima Bio and boys talk frankly. NASIT dignifies informal sector. This is another story for you inside the open space. The next paper, at the Forum newspaper, we say Kailaun condemns SLPP intimidation of Cherikoko, and Kwedu will be the hub of transformation. Honorable Cheno Ramadan Majuba. UBS Radio launches Easter Ramadan promotion. And politics or not, Jagaban promises more goodies. This is another story for you inside this edition of the Forum newspaper. And the next paper for this morning, now the New Age. New Age newspaper say as political stakeholders of Kono speak with one voice, serious pressure on the APC. NASIT strengthens ties with the media and builds development diary, the new directions approach to address land challenges in Sierra Leone. This is another story for you inside the New Age newspaper. The next one, the Voice of Salone, we see 72 workers sent home at APP Sierra Leone, and Sierra Leone police seek to resolutions to curb human trafficking. European Union launches 5 million projects to support women's empowerment in Sierra Leone. UK Commercial Bank feeds inmate on International Women's Day. This another story for you inside this edition of the Voice of Salone. News 24, now the next peak we say resolving Yenga saga remains top priority to government, in the quote the vice president. And Bank of Sierra Leone extends Old Leon circulation. This another story for you inside the News 24. Sierra Express Media. Cheikoko has the APC running mate experience. International Women's Day, Rukele Commercial Bank feeds cancer female inmates. King's Beverage to help boost employment. And you get not guns and bullets. Exercise your rights through the ballot box. Samura Kamara. This is another story for you inside the Sierra Express Media. The Salone Times newspaper, as NSC meets today, Cheikoko leads the bunch for APC running mate. Parliament ratifies $15 million United States dollars capital expansion. Commonwealth Games, changer beach cleaning exercise ends. This another story for you inside the Salone Times newspaper. The next paper, the Aoko newspaper, we say UK Foreign Secretary warns of negative real-world impact of Russia's invasion of Ukraine on Sierra Leone. And UK Foreign Secretary crowned PC Kolo Bombo the third in Bo in ECOWAS court to deliver judgment to the in Sam Sumana Judicial sanctions suit against Salone. This is another story for you inside this edition of the Awoko newspaper. In the next paper, now, torture. 2-year-old toddler dies in a Bondo bush. Sierra Leone police to take tougher action against underage voter registrants. Underage voter registrants. And IFC Regional Director ends visit to Sierra Leone. And all Leone's note valid till December 31st. This another story for you inside the Concord Times. The AZ newspaper and next week for this morning we say NACIT new scheme to cover informal sector workers. VP Juldeh vows to solve Yenga dispute, bring development to Kailaon district. First Lady adopt male strategy in hands of our girls campaign. Women empowerment takes center stage in tourism sector. Land Commissioner General champions operation no runoff for President Bill. This and other story for you inside this edition of the AZ newspaper. Well, now the last paper for this inside the program this morning, and we'll take a short break and then we guest them inside the program. Another morning again inside we had plenty things then they happen. I wonder how sneeze again what go here today. But this be small country we had. Anyway, before I go to the wala now we had, let's just go to my kitchen and check my colors.
Yes, colors. Some man really like for eat in the morning. Some people say them just like when they eat don't sleep. Other people say na the cow they like, especially when they cook the soup or plasas where they like pass all. So now that make we bring to you this program where we call Colres, as we dey look at different story them na the front page and inside the newspaper. So not forget to join me on Monday to Friday, both Facebook and YouTube. Usai we go bring to una different guests them where they can help for talk about the newspaper. We are channel for the people, the voice of the voiceless.
Another morning again inside we had plenty things then they happen. I wonder how sneeze again what go here today. But this be small country we had. Anyway, before I go to the wala now we had, let's just go to my kitchen and check my colors.
Yes, colors. Some man really like for eat in the morning. Some people say them just like when they eat don't sleep.
Okay.
Other people say na the cow they like, especially when.
Alright, welcome back, and we don't get one of the guests and we don't join inside the program. We still expect another one. For January soonest. And this guest, not a stranger here, he done the join we for several programs. He named Marcos Bangura from C4D, the both newspaper and as well the civil rights organization. Citizens, he done the advocate for citizens for long time. So not a new voice inside this program, not a new voice inside advocacy in the country. So we want for use this opportunity again for welcome this Monday morning to this edition of the program we call Congress. Good morning and welcome, Marcos.
Yeah, good morning, and like I say, thank you for inviting me today again for contribute on this program.
Right. I see you.
Thank
Your network gets red. We mean say the network not look strong enough. All right, so let's just strive for see how best we can able for go. If we can get everything correct.
Okay.
Yes, so let's start with this paper. We I get right in front of we right now. We now the AZ newspaper. The AZ newspaper get this banner headline. We say VP Juldeh vows to solve Yenga dispute, brings development to Kailaon district. What thing you take on this particular issue?
Well, we all know say the Yenga issue not become a long drawn, problem for Sierra Leone because Yenga na it's a three-way owned by Sierra Leone. But over time, especially during the war, where we been get military forces from Guinea, they occupy that particular place there as a kind of a garrison. But eventually, the people decide to take over that particular place. So the Yenga issue is not new, but we can get the conviction say that be for don't solve prior to this time, especially with President Biokam, when a military man, at least if we don't get headway on that. Recently, we are waiting the Guinean authorities say about the place. But with this news, we made it
So
get
what's
so.
in the Guinean authority
We,
then say with regards to Yenga?
I think, just as before, the occupation of that particular place there, they consider that place there for be their own. And let me tell you, there is a problem. Because if you go to certain areas, the boundary areas, let's say prior to colonial rule, the areas and they already get divisions. So the same people they live, now the same environment, Guinea, Sierra Leone, will not be able to get any other divisions except that either the place becomes Futa Jalon, or say we call the place the Mali Empire, Songhai Empire, Kanem-Borno Empire, would be the empires the way they exist. But with colonialism, the place has to become divided. And one reason, in fact, will lead to the declaration of the protectorate in 1896. Now, because of the fact, say, the French forces, they pursue Samori and Samori Canada area there. And anywhere Usai Samori occupied, if the French then defeat them, then he retreats, then they can take over that particular place there. So for prevent that, we make the British government be fast track the declaration of the protectorate. Remember, say before they were not interested, they only get interested in the colony. But fast forward, the A to Z newspaper, right? They try to inform the public, say the VP don't resolve the Yenga issue. It's a good news.
No,
If
well,
that is the case, it's a
well,
good
not
news
actually say
because
don't resolve them. It say it go solve them. It go
okay,
resolve them.
okay, it will solve them.
Yes,
Okay,
we
we look
mean
forward to
say
that.
we don't
We'll
even
make
know
it
if you
able.
don't start talk, but you
Yes,
just talk say I go solve
a
them.
pending. Yeah, we'll not even know. So now a kind of an opinion, and there is a probability rather than certainty in it,
So
right?
don't look
Because
at the same issue where they talk about so Yenga na one, but we see again another issue come up na Kono. Also SLBC do a report where they tell we say one other village day when at the border again between Sierra Leone and Guinea, na the Kono district. The Guineans there as well don't take up that side there, and the people they win at the Sierra Leone where they live na that side there, no they live freely. And the Guinean are like, then they take over everything, even the crossing, the outside and the cross, the water, the boat where they and the Guinean and the operator, then they pay to them. They don't get anything where they do freely in that particular area. There. So as Guinea, as a young guy on day on, and not solve it, don't corner yourself, they come up again. What you are aware of that issue there?
I'm not actually aware of but in as much as that development the happen at the place, ugly development, we reported by the SLBC, I not say fact we did it. This is the problem because a portray with government say therefore double the efforts because when you talk in terms of governance, these are the issues. The issues are that if you're able to make sure say the territorial integrity is protected or defended from or against any other force, we call them an external force occupying the land illegitimately, land we belong to Sierra Leone, and land we in fact has been occupied by Sierra Leoneans for a very, very long period of time. The government gets responsibility. Not to eat wood for treat with a pinch of salt. Yenga, this particular area in Kono, and I forget the name, historically, because once you talk about that area there, historically, I remember say there was a particular place where, in fact, lead directly to the declaration of the protectorate, as I tell you about Samori in occupation of the area in day, right? Because the British they not the ones for make the French they occupy that area, because any side we then defeat Samori then they take over the place, then declare protectorate and protect their areas in day. So the people that we did in Sierra Leoneans. So if Guineans or the Guinea, or that's a Guineans, right, occupy that area, they use force, you know, they even they operate the boats, you know, it means that they don't take control over the territory. What is government doing, you know, in this perspective?
So
the government
this
will get a map,
issue come
right?
up again just immediately after we the junta leader come and visit Sierra Leone with this kind of fearful convoy, you know, battalion as we can call them, you know, and they can't talk. We already foreign minister of Salon say this not for resolve that issue. They even tell we say they don't get money for letting build bridge that Yenga they for able for get the party business or the brother and sister business go on. And they even tell we say they will even begin to joint patrol, you know, in that area day, you know, for sure say nobody gets a rather then they try for put things them in place, you know, but just after that one day we see this thing don't come up again. And now the most fearful part of them, for the first time they don't put baking, you know, pillar on that side. It's the Yenga issue.
So what did that speak? Yes, what did that is true. It should say the Guineans they don't take control over that place. So for make you can, you know, when you get land, you go put speaking, it show possession.
It shows
say that you get this particular place. But from yes, and from where this Yenga issue starts of recent times, being that we've got a president with a military background, we would expect say and also it study peace and conflict, where I feel say if for double in effort to stand tall and make us say he able for influence, not only for talk, but if you're able for influence. Now you get the foreign minister, where we all know say is very assertive, and being that he's assertive, he gets a responsibility that you have to prove yourself. You know, when you talk about governance, you talk about leadership. And that kind of thing they also, if you're able to prove yourself, but make sure say you get a negotiator with power and authority, we're able for influence, able for create impact. Just like when we get this issue, that Tunisia, this issue, that Lebanon, you understand? When you get a foreign ministry, that the role that way for play. When you get a government, that the role that way for play, rather than other issues that are of no use or relevance in society, but to for try as nationalists for make sure say we influence Guinea, right? Look the way the Guinean president become, and look the way how they take over State House at that particular period, and then go back, you know, even the way they come to in another territory. I mean, it's like that issue of respect not be too much. So we need to take this into consideration, and we urge the government for make them try as hard as they could for make sure say Yenga issue, the Kono issue, they resolve them at the interest of Sierra Leone. Because the objective of foreign policy is the national interest. When you go into lobbying, you go into negotiation, when you wait for connect with foreign parties or foreign organization or whatever, the objective is the national interest. And that national interest for be at the advantage. So this is a test case for the government, like the test case for the foreign minister, like the test case for the president himself, and like a test case for the government in general, and also Sierra Leoneans, ways and means. You get which a state. A state is a definite geographical territory, which is politically organized and entirely free from external control. And so we define the state, right? For free from external control and a definite geographical territory. And Sierra Leone a definite territorial integrity. When you get our colonial masters, where they draw the map of Sierra Leone. So if Guinea they go off board, and the responsibility for make them bring, you know, very, very necessary ways for resolve the issue. And that make we get international community to get that, and that make them form international organization. If the government itself cannot, you know, lobby the Guinea
so the government will still say the
convince them say
appeal to the ECOWAS and the AU for letting go able for see how best they can settle issue like this. But anyway, I want to move to another issue quickly. And but before that, the last just remind people and say this night we actually look into the Auditor General in issue as we read the Minister of Information yesterday. They tell we about how the Auditor General and in deputy they make them the delay. We can actually given at the timetable. And we will find out who that exactly the delay this particular case and how many money we the this government don't spend per this particular case. We not get any headway. We will discuss all of that this net inside the program 9 p.m. Let's take you to this issue, please. The Concord Times get this passionate story. It's a torture. 2-year-old toddler dies in a bondo bush. You know, issue like this, what do you think about them?
Well, this issue very, very important. I must say it connected with FGM. You know, female genital mutilation. We call the Bundu secret society. We don't exist as I alone for a very, very long period of time, even before colonial rule. The kind of training for which it gets Bundu society, I think it's quite different from now. Because during that period, you know, young girls, we are taken to a sacred place where circumcision took place, and at the same time they were trained in various ways. For looking at the situation as
mother and other things now the society.
Yes, to become good wives, good mother, then also effective in sex issues, take care of them, their family.
Yeah, so basically family life education, anything give them.
Family life education. So as a result, it was very, very important. It's traditional, but the space at which they go, especially with it lead to death, you know, and of recent times we don't see we get a lot of propagation against the FGM. And as a result of that, it is a law and not man that is supreme. You know, so as a result of that, if then go to the extent for initiate 2-year-old picking, it died in the process. The onus day in the hands of the judiciary. And this is not the first time. We don't get talked about this. We don't also get issues concerning even the question of rape, you know, or sexual harassment of certain individuals that were involved. At the end of the day, what comes out of it? Well, we see Kamarimba being in prison. Understand? Which by itself, I would not say it was bad as far as the due process of the law is followed. But in this case, we also expect the due process of the law. If you go initiate 2-year-old picking, what sense does it make to do that? You know, so as a result of that, I feel stringent action should be taken against the one that we involved in doing that. So I think it is bad and not in conformity with modern times, right? Because of the fact, say, the manner we then do them. Because the only thing about that is to get rid of the clitoris. In doing so, people can do it now in modern society through hospital. If you're willing enough, you want for do it, they can do an hospital, right? Where not involve the use of crude materials. But over and above, for the mere fact that life we're supposed to be sacred, life where nobody not gets rights for take from another person, then I think it begs the question as to what in the judiciary they do at the moment. Because the onus is upon the judiciary for making them take action, devoid, or therefore make sure say there is no political interference. If possible, an attempt is made on that. That shows how independent the judiciary, how effective the judiciary is. It's not only way the judiciary, they move, say yes, we don't make some improvements, we don't open courts at this side, at that side, which is very, very good. But the judiciary, for go to the extent for address issues of this nature, of which I don't feel say it gets much contest. As far as the fact they present, or the issue they present, is made up of facts. Because that is what we've had. It is upon the courts for make sure say then bring the people here. So if that's so it be, if not get further information for make people are able to understand. Otherwise, the judicial independence could be questioned.
Okay. Yeah. So since we talk about the judiciary, let's just jump into this court case that we look at now the paper then. Political newspaper get it to say Judgment Day for LJ. This rapper in one case, we see in your case get different, taste. From the day where they arrest how many people they arrest, we go for go find how many people they don't sentence. So now they say on judgment day, not today, because in judgment day for be actually reach, but then postpone them. Now they say today. We don't even know if they postpone them again to another day. But now they say today. So what you make up of this particular issue, without prejudicing the court matter?
Yes, of course, a court issue way for the mere fact that it in a court sub judice, one will be very careful of which it say for make in office contempt of court. Because we don't see another method or weapon used against agitators of society. But that notwithstanding, the court now the body where the constitution give judicial powers for make sure say they settle dispute between people then also punish lawbreakers. In the eyes of the courts, LG then consider them for being a lawbreaker. Because according to the allegations, they say I think it get for do with robbery. Right? So in the eyes of the courts, it's the violation of the law and also the peace. So as a result of that, they decide for cargo the courts. It don't take a very, very long period of time. And we all know the gymnastics will happen during the period of which in here the courts are not getting nothing for do the courts, but the fact remains that in human rights was degraded in dignity as a human being, was degraded for the mere fact that the court in here against in will. However, we expect the court to have expedited the process. But no matter how long the night, the day will come, now we wait. We don't see, say, quite recently, have been Kamarima. We have been an issue, we also been trending. Now, another trending issue, LEG. And today, as the case may be, probably a judgment to be made. We look forward to the courts for make their judgment in respect of that. That is always the case. When then can you go to police, from police, you will go court. Sometimes you can even suppose directly to court. We know, say, this, he was arrested, he was detained, and besides him, other people are very close to him. They are also arrested and they were detained. I believe, say, some of them, we don't left them, except for LG. We did it right now. We look for and what is expected. Yes, in order. Yes, and what is expected of the courts for dispense justice? Because once the court dispense justice, then there will be confidence in the courts. And that makes them say the judiciary should be independent. That makes them talk about separation of powers. That the three organs of government, legislature, executive, and the judiciary should be independent in terms of functions, in terms of personnel, and in terms of control. Being that is the case, we look forward to see the courts using justice or dispense justice for the general good of the judiciary and the general good of Sierra Leone.
All right.
And that's what we all look forward to, because, yeah.
Okay, let's take a quick one to another court case. Still, this one inside the Awoko newspaper. We say ECOWAS court to deliver judgment today in Sumana's judicial sanctions suit against Salone. So, what do you make up of this?
Well, sometimes the way the courts themselves they operate, be it national or international, sometimes gets some ridiculousness. In the sense that this Sumana case don't take almost 7 or 8 years. I want stand to be corrected. And now the courts they come for actually make a judgment where in fact they don't put the man into agony. They don't put him into stress, frustration. Where it take an action for clarity to the ECOWAS court, because he was not confident with we own court. So as a result of that, a judgment was passed wherein they bring the issue of supreme executive authority. Right? If you look at the whole constitution, I want great side they mention now. I think section 40 around that area wherein they describe the functions of the president. Right? Beside they talk say the president is the supreme executive authority by the country. And I want to believe say the judgment that was made in this country was in line with that. So the ECOWAS courts, why in the first place the ECOWAS courts don't take a very, very long period of time, and why, among other things, that today, especially we, the APC, is also charged of having their running mates today. So Sam Sumana right now is caught in the middle, looking forward to the ECOWAS as to what they will say. And also the judgment of the ECOWAS courts will benefit them financially, because you look at the financial loss we incur over the years for actually push that particular case day. Then also in payments, I think it will be a good news if they rule them in favor. Then also that is it. We look at also the other side of the All People's Congress trying to actually get somebody today.
Right.
I don't know if
so
you,
before we go into that,
me.
let's look at this. What
Yes.
this paper say? The New Age newspaper. Basically, they talk about this thing where you talk for where you want for talk about. So, well, this one still let me drop now the Kono issue. Say, as political stakeholders of Kono speak with one voice. Serious pressure on the APC. In other words, the Anna Konomani and the Sam Sumana don't decide for resolve the issue where they get, they come together. And inside this same meeting, outside they approach them people, and we outside the people and send strong message say the APC need for talk to them or then talk to them. If not, they're ready for check the APC apart to small pieces. If they not talk to them, because as far as they're concerned, some of them they want them na the willing party, and then they wait for you waiting and they stay, or else then they ready for go back to them people and tell them waiting they want for tell them. So now today then the APC, we understand say they're supposed to announce the running mate to Samuel Kamara. So what do you make up of this particular peace talk with Samuel and Sam Sumana and Diana and the strong message from Kono?
Definitely, from day one, I level criticisms on the APC authorities, including Dr. Samuel Akama, that we stem or not we stem for me to up this tenure without appointing a potential vice president or a running mate at the time of the NDC will cost them a lot. Because if they don't do on that particular term day, then tell us to resolve them for the resolve, right? But for the mere fact that they fail for do so that particular time, they augur well, because you get different factions now that they happen. The people of Kono, they don't resolve what they want. What do they want? They want the enviable position of a running mate, and now they're threatening probably for opt out of the APC, if not opt out, as you put on, say they would tear the APC into pieces. Though that could be questionable as to whether it will be teared into pieces. But that is the view of the Kono people, and that is what they want. They want to have the position of a VP. But what role will that play in terms of the electoral votes? Very, very important. Then also you look at the other side. It is up to Samuel Kamara now. It is up to NAC, that is the National Advisory Council, for make them give the whole thing a second thought. But that is always expected in a political situation. That will be political wrangling. At the end of the day, I think they will reach and try for resolve them. But the onus is upon the head of Dr. Samuel Kamara for look the various candidates there. As it is now, there are two major candidates, Honorable Cheri Kuku and Chief Sam Sumana, former vice president. The two people then get vast experience and get capacity for serve as vice president, even for serve as president, then get the capacity. But to be the choose. If it be the choose, no matter threats, no matter from either side, either on the side of Cheri Kuku or on the side of Dr. Sam Sumana, Chief Sam Sumana, what's important are the fact that I look at them, right? I weigh them, I sieve them, then I decide for choose somebody who will be appealing to the people of Sierra Leone. Because becoming a running mate, if will be availed into the market, and people will be willing and ready for buy you. Apart from that, after the election, you forget a rule for play. You not for be a liability, but you for be an asset to the president, if at all will succeed for win the election, so that you will serve as an asset to the nation. So I think that is up to them. I don't know how the constitution say, probably because the NAC members, we are not sworn in, so it's lead to the delay as to why, in fact, they're not good to the extent of appointing. But that particular clause or provision of the APC constitution, they get need for amendment. If they fail for amendment, it will haunt them time and again.
All right. We go to the next paper. We're at the Forum newspaper. The Forum newspaper get this headline. We say Kailan condemns SLPP intimidation of Cherry Cocoa, and Koidu will be the hub of transformation. Then they quote Chernobyl. What do you think about this whole thing? We still say Chernobyl been to go na Kailan at some points. SLPP block them with the motorcar and say they're not going to enter another place.
Me don't always say that that we similarities far supersedes with differences, and we similarities will be better reconciled. Our differences can be better reconciled when we get respect for one another, when we love one another, when we exercise political tolerance. Then we accept divergent views. You may not accept a view that is divergent from yours, but if you respect the view given by an individual. Now you look at the situation like Kono, like Kailan, that one, it was disingenuous, it was outrageous, and I want to say preposterous because of the fact, say, this group of SLPP, I don't think that probably not all SLPP members will be involved. I only view say you get certain SLPP members, we go frown at that because when it comes to election, it's a general elections. And when it comes to the issue of the presidency, not only a constituency in the case of first past the post, not only the issue of a district in the case of proportional representation, but an issue of the country as a whole. And people that need votes from everywhere. And if you find out, say, these two political parties get a stronghold. Say, for example, the APC, through Honorable Cherry Cocoa, move or go na Kailan, and it was blocked. We see the footages. This still the organ when our society because the SLPP equally therefore move. And in fact, they move at the northern axis of this country also, where the APC stronghold. So as a result, if in a situation they also block them, you understand, they don't go well. And if you say the authorities, state authorities, will actually encourage that, or because it's not good. It's not democratic.
No, but if you watch how the political landscape there right now, if at all they may stop SLPP, now the north, like how it happened. So the police said for don't pull statement, but that's when they talk. So till now we don't hear anything from the police.
Yeah, but that's another important thing when people talk about state capture, because this is very, very important. The police now the key, or major players when it comes to peace and security in this country also. It is upon the police for actually come with a press release. We all see, gone are the days we think that they happen in isolation. Now it's easy. Somebody will get phone, corner, and video, you understand what they happen. And that happened at Kono and Kenema. I'm sorry, Kailan. We all see. So,
and we don't even hear PPRC itself say anything yet as to this particular issue.
PPRC
the press
not say nothing. PPRC not say nothing. The police not say nothing. And in that situation, it give rise to suspicion and distrust on the people also. And these two bodies now integral part of the electoral management bodies. The police for provide security, right? If they not say anything, what do you expect people to say? And sometimes when you say it, they describe you to be otherwise. But the fact is, the police, the PPRC, for come out with a press release because he was attacked. Who did they attack Cherry Cocoa in the first place? According to your submission, you say that SLPP members.
According to the video where we see, then where the green cow the motorcar, pose as SLPP and say no APC no they enter.
Yeah, so in
because
that
in that
situation,
case, you're not going to expect, APC for go block themselves.
Of course, yes. In that situation, PPRC for equally fine the SLPP, just like the APC was fine, you understand, for the incident which take place.
All right, your mic don't mute. Watch your mic, you don't mute. If you get me, watch your mic don't mute. Marcus, if you get me, watch your mic don't mute. We not hear you. We not hear you. Alright, the program we do watch right now could rest on we are on YouTube and on Facebook. And we get Marcus Bangura. Marcus, if you hear me, please take note you mic. We not hear you at all.
Okay.
We not the program na could rest on we are on YouTube and on Facebook. We get Marcus Bangura from C4D. Yes, Marcus.
Yeah, you get me now?
Yes, I'll be better. I get you.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I try for say that PPRC for come out with a press release. The police for come out with a press release. In the case of PPRC, then for fine the SLPP people then we actually or find the SLPP because their members then come out and say they block the APC, especially Honorable Cheikuku, where we also say will likely be the next flag the running mates, right? Or as a
all right, you don't go mute again. You don't go mute again. Your line don't go mute again. Alright, why is we fix some? We'll take this break quickly. Another morning again inside we had plenty things then they happen. I wonder how sneeze again what go here today.
Okay.
But this is small country we had. Alright, we don't get to Marcus again. We hear him now. Yes, Marcus, continue, please.
Okay, so if the PPRC not take any action, then I say it will lead to suspicion and distrust because PPRC are a major player in the conduct of this election in 2023.
All right.
That if the police don't do nothing, then it's questionable. It gives rise to suspicion and distrust. Say this is a state capture.
All right. So let me go to another paper. Yes. Of course, this one now the C4D media. This one now it got this banner headline where it says citizen court between SLPP and APC for next president. But before that, they say complicity in economic corruption, cronyism, wasteful spending, reckless mega project, unemployment, and high cost of living. Now the cities in the girl, they don't now like Mr. Spider or Yao, where can I go? Also now they for pick the next president. This now you write this story. Tell me about this.
Yes, this story now an open story where indict both the APC and the SLPP.
Okay.
Because I say complicit, they don't become complicit in economic corruption, endemic corruption, cronyism, wasteful spending, reckless mega project, unemployment, and high cost of living. Citizens caught between SLPP and APC for the next president. Now, the SLPP and the APC have been the major political players in Sierra Leone since independence. But over the decades, right, Sierra Leone has been caught in that web of endemic corruption. Of course, you will agree with me, say the SLPP had accused the APC, will lead to the creation of 3 commissions of inquiries, right? And also of cronyism. Cronyism in the sense that where they give position of trust to your friends, right? So people are very close to you, right? Wasteful spending. A lot of money, they don't spend them wastefully, right? Then reckless mega and projects. A lot of projects where they are big names, big money, they are mega because they're not sustainable, right? Then also unemployment. You will agree with me, say the state of employment is unspeakable in this country. Then, of course, high cost of living. So as a result of that, Sierra Leoneans, the citizens, are now caught between choosing the SLPP or the APC. You understand? So there is that
begin
division
take
now.
them one by one. The UN line
Yes.
where you put. I'll take the different things that we talk about. Let's look at complicit in endemic corruption. Of course, this government will not chest anytime when they talk about corruption. Say, okay, MCC don't they rate we very high, we don't get 90% pass. You know, we do very well inside the corruption business. So why will they talk about endemic in the corruption for now? That is to say the corruption don't smell.
The use of the word endemic clearly means say corruption as Sierra Leone is systemic. You know, it don't do for some time for quite too long. To date, you know, it's still there, despite the fact that Sierra Leone score goals in the fight against corruption in the international flavor. But when you look at it nationally, you agree with me, say a lot of people in the grumble as to how we actually reach to this point. But again, we get for look at waiting the MCC they use. Don't forget to say we also get Transparency International. We're not to rate the government this year.
So,
right?
so
But
if you talk about the MCC, when they ask waiting and they use, basically the MCC, when they rate you, they not necessarily mean say you don't fight them well or you don't pull them totally. It basically means that the attempt to you make. And this government good at making attempt statements and other things then. Definitely, yes. So definitely, that is the wrong side of the MCC. Looking at the fact that somebody don't make attempts because of the attempt. Say, for example, under this government, they don't pass a lot of policies there. For example, the Minister of Education, right, passed radical inclusion, right? And this radical inclusion means, say, certain people then will not be get access to education, they include them. Say, for example, radical inclusion on pregnant girls or go back to school. You understand? You know, say prior to this time, there was a ban on that. So this government passed that. So the MCC, they only look at the fact, say, they passed that. Have the MCC gone beyond the comfort zone for find out as to whether this particular thing exists? We still have children that are pregnant that are not going to school. Take a move in many schools. You see them, right? We also have people that were physically challenged. Quite recently, I was invited to serve as chairman, right? I think it was Monday, the last Monday. In fact, he host me. Understand? I served as the chairperson for a program organized by Youth Network Sierra Leone, right? Where they do advocacy for people that were physically challenged, right? So as a result of that, the complaints were many. Discrimination, understand, in the school. Part of the radical inclusion, and that's these issues of discrimination against certain individuals then with disability, not for take place. But there were complaints about discrimination. There were complaints about insufficient materials. Say, for example, the blind, you understand, where they need their own kind of materials, and a huge lot of other things. So
right?
how does they link to the corruption?
They try to talk about the assessments.
Okay.
You understand?
So let me look at this other thing you put there. Because you say you say wasteful spending. You know, wasteful spending. I think this way the president been there against. Even when he in opposition, he blamed the last government for wasteful spending. So how you feel say them going to that when then they oppose that?
Yes. The government in opposition stands strongly for level criticism against the government by then. We now in opposition. That is the APC for wasteful spending. They say they spend like drunken sailors. Yeah. We become a mantra in Sierra Leone. Yeah. Understand? So looking at that and looking at the present government, nothing not change. You understand? Nothing not change. There is still wasteful spending. A lot of people don't raise issues, don't raise eyebrows about that, right? So now I make us say endemic corruption, complicit in endemic corruption. Because if the SLPP don't accuse the APC of corruption, now the APC they accuse the SLPP of corruption, and now we did about for choose the next president. Sierra Leoneans or citizens are caught between the two as to who they for choose, despite the fact that these guys are complicit in endemic corruption,
And this one
cronyism,
way I
wasteful
dey ask
spending,
you again,
reckless
basically.
mega
This
projects.
one where I can ask you again. Basically, nothing this way. I think now you get the citizens really caught up, between the SLPP and APC for pick the next president. Unemployment and high cost of living. Unemployment. This government talk about how they will provide 2 million jobs, and even as we they talk so now, they whether you call them new airport or the extension of the terminal, new terminal. Then they employ 2,000 Sierra Leoneans, but all of them things that they promise we get said they will count a lot of businesses, then we will employ a lot of people in. But right now, the employment rate is higher than how it been there. And the cost of living again, now, where they can say, well, some people can say nothing for right home about, but me go say plenty thing there for right home about, because it's like it is smell now in the society. So now you get this headline. Tell me about this.
Yes, you see, I try as hard as I could to make sure say I employ objectivity in me write-ups.
Okay, go ahead.
When you look at this, except whether one is blind or is reluctant to accept the fact, but the citizens are now caught between the SLPP and APC for next president. Although during the reigns of then governments, they are so. From now, this present government to the past and some and others before, you understand, have all been complicit in endemic corruption. To date, right, we're not able to solve the problem. We're not able to combat the problem. You understand? So as a result of that, the issue is very, very serious. It's very serious. If you look at me publication, the way, in fact, I start the first paragraph, I talk about, say, Sierra Leone democracy needs reconfiguration when it comes to the next president or to elect the next president. You understand? It needs configuration because over the years, Sierra Leoneans, they vote on sentiments, they vote on tribe, they vote on regionalism. We know the order went for society. So as a result of that, we for endeavor, for make sure, say, we look at issues, we assess them, we look at what is good for the nation and decide for choose. Say, for example, President Bio, no matter what you say, you can't cripple him totally. The fact remains that he has contributed somehow to nation building, despite the fact that expectation falls short. You understand? Because of the promises made, and the government is confident enough that they have gone to the extent of fulfilling all the promises them. You understand? Where they make about 500 and something promises, they say they don't fulfill them. So if they have fulfilled them, what does that mean to the people of Sierra Leone? You get what they call political culture, right? You get this political culture, they talk about the knowledge that people then get about the political system. Under this political culture, you get elements of evaluative, you understand? Evaluating the system. First knowing the system, then you evaluate the system. So the onus is upon the people, you understand, for actually evaluate the system as to whether the president promises have been fulfilled. And if they are so satisfied that the government promises have been fulfilled and the fact that it is fit for purpose, will take we or catapult we from a present situation to a higher height, then why the people are not going to vote for the government?
But if again, this next paper quickly,
people get
similar issues them. So wait till they talk about so this paper way now the Times newspaper. The Times newspaper say Bill's new direction, misdirection, lost direction, worse direction, no direction. So I join this one again to this other paper where they watch now the Ninth Watch say ahead of June elections is SLPP smelling the rat. So let's join them two paper and let get your opinion into this.
But the last one, say waiting.
Is SLPP smelling the rat?
Okay. Yes. You look at the two. If you take a look at all the newspapers there, if not all, but most of the one that we don't read, it's like they are on the same side. You understand?
Okay. In same side in what
somehow. Looking at the SLPP, my case little different, where citizens are caught between choosing the next president amidst complicit corruption, cronyism, wasteful spending, and all that. We point fingers at the two political parties, we are the dominant political parties, right? Looking at Times SL, right? He say there is no direction. There is misdirection. And what else?
Well, he said your new direction. Now like exclamation mark. He say misdirection, lost direction, worse direction, no direction.
Yes. So he find out say in the opinion, right, of the editor, right, Bio's new direction has no direction. Or if at all there is a direction, the direction or lost direction. Understand? So meaning that the government has not performed in their own eyes. You understand? Because when you look at the aspect of new direction, they talk about taking a new road from the ugly past.
And yes, they tell you about the way how the last government mislead the country, how they wreck the economy, how they make things difficult for people, how they make people, the high cost of living, unemployment. So then promise for take we from that direction, the way that last government may take we to a new direction. But we don't ask
so a new direction. Yeah. So if you look at this, then you look at me banner page, on the front page, you understand it? Wherein I say complicity endemic corruption. So it means that despite the fact that in the area of corruption or other areas wherein the government accused the former governments of corruption and all incident, I would expect, say, a new leaf will be changed under a new direction. But to me, and this particular thing where I write, the fact remains that there has not been much of a new direction.
So now, now the question of the night watch come inside again. Ahead of June elections, is SLPP smelling the rat in your estimation?
This is difficult to say, or for make us subscribe 100%, because of the fact, say, the author there, right, in his own volition, right, I'm not saying he asked a question as to whether they smell the rat. And not read the content as to, because it's like literature, a poem. You can ask him, but you get a different direction.
Okay, understand? So if you link this talk about direction, the president been talk in one of his social media videos say, "Tin don't camp and cam." Tin don't camp and cam. Go with the question, or is SLPP smelling the rat? So if you say Tin don't camp and cam, you say this is not really camp and seriousness.
Yes, Tin don't camp and cam. Probably he also talk about the economy. You also talk about the challenges of winning the election. No, it varies, understand? But in the long and short of it, the fact remains that the author say, if SLPP is spelling the rats, does that mean again say the SLPP is seeing itself being booted out through the ballot box? Understand? All depends, because the economic situation is challenging. By this time, also would expect, in fact, the governor should have been sacked.
Okay, so exactly that you come to that particular issue there, I bring you with this paper now, where now the Independent Observer newspaper. The Independent Observer newspaper get this big banner headline where say more time for old Leones. In other words, December 31st, 2023. Now we will use the old Leones, stay to that time there. We don't see they don't give you 1, 2 dates. This now the number 3 deadline they don't give you so. So what do you make up of this since you don't begin to talk about them?
This is frustrating to Sierra Leoneans. If you go to a bank and you go take money, now all Leones say you get. Me believe say this are the third time that they postpone the for get rid of the making all the in circulation. And all these don't fail. And now they don't get a marathon time. Because from now till December 31st, they say by the 1st, before they use the new Leones. So what's the confidence about that? And in the first place, why we get 2 currencies running? Why in the first place, in fact,
instead of currency, why would not say 2 notes?
2 notes. Yes, 2 notes, yes. Thank you for the correction, right? Now 2 notes, they operate, old notes and new notes. Why in the first place that they operate? It undermine President Bio in administration. And for that reason, President Bio for wise up and make us say he gets rid of the bank governor.
So
He's a
plenty
failure.
people they say he not go rise up against the bank governor because the bank governor did actually do in work for him, by way out and just the pull money na the treasury, na the bank of Salon without any checking. So it is doing work for him. So now the only person this way can cover him. You don't go mute again. You don't go mute again. The program that we had on YouTube and on Facebook, we actually get Marcus Bangura, where they talk about different issues. The Marcus, you don't go mute. And right now, we decide to talk about the more time for the old Leones, where the bank governor. Marcus, we not hear you right now. We not hear you at all. We not hear you, Marcus. We not hear you at all. We're not hear you at all. So where they talk about the old Leones and the new Leones and the extension where the bank governor don't again say with the begin we go use this old Leon.
Okay, obviously it gets me now.
Yes, you get to me?
It gets me, eh?
Yes, I get you. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I try to say it's questionable for actually say that the president is comfortable with the bank governor because it allow money for commodity fata in the hands of the government. But again, if you look at another way, say is also I don't agree with that, but also he's comfortable with the way the bank governor operates the economy without going to the area of money being drawn at random and uncoordinatedly. Because if you hold a particular public officer in office, it means that you satisfy with your work because the president is empowered by the constitution for actually remove. Though when it comes to the question of the bank governor, you understand, the bank governor in position is secure. But again, we don't get precedents. We are in the same precedent, we don't sack a bank governor. So if that is the case, is a precedent where I feel say still at the same precedent. If you feel say things are not working proper, then if I don't go to the extent for sack the bank governor.
Okay, so if you don't sack one bank governor,
and the bank governor
and now it gets this other one way in not sack, it means say it satisfy and in as far as I'm concerned, this bank governor will work in the right direction.
Of course. But the mere fact that she hold on, when you get power, although there are strings also attached back, removing the bank governor by the president, I don't feel say a day in position. But for the mere fact that a precedent has been set with Dr. Patrick Conte, who was removed by the president, I feel say removing this one back not mean anything, especially we feel say this one only perform. But in common sense suggests say if somebody to work for you, you retain her, that means say the person they perform. So I think the president to some extent is satisfied with the performance of the bank governor.
Okay.
But looking at it, generally the country don't fall in terms of the economy, in terms of the exchange rates, in terms of the cost of living, in terms of the uncontrollable use of inflation. Understand the problem of inflation. If you look at the dollar, it's over 100%, right? If you be the rent office, say for example, for $2,000, probably you pay around 20 to 23 million leones. Now, if you find out, say, it has grown up to over 40 million leones. Understand? If you don't get landlords, we understandable. We full with the milk of human kindness. We, in fact, a magnanimous. Believe me, in the push, a majority of them, they insist, say, you for pay the money, not to them business. Understand? Whether dollar go up or dollar come down. All this don't lead to hardship. All this don't lead to difficulties.
So
they look at the fuel.
As we talk about difficulties and when they talk about hardship, when they talk about doing business back in Sierra Leone, where plenty people consider for be very, very more difficult. But because plenty business people are not they come, we see inside the government encourage fraud people and for come inside and fraud the people of this country. Let's look at this story from Standard Times. We say fake affordable home scheme, CEO in ACC Net. We see inside somebody begin blow this on social media. It blow for some time. ACC not say anything until this recent time where this particular individual on social media expose the person in different names them, now different passports, and even tell me how they be even though I'm arrested in Nigeria for this same kind of fraudulent activity. And they tell ACC come up with press release, and now they say they're in at the net, and then they work with their counterparts in Nigeria for make them go able for work and see how best they can able for arrest this person again from their country then they. So what do you think about doing business? Especially where this person not only come and begin take people and money them, but as well get connection with the president, because we still say go and snap with the president, get an award saying that the best leader. You know, if he able to get through to the president in terms of connection, what do you make up of the story? I'll ask you this one instead of doing that again.
I get reserved opinion over the fact that the president accepts somebody with a criminal, I want to say, because in one of William Shakespeare's book, he say you cannot find the mind's construction in the face. There are certain individuals when they come certain times, they know whether this person is also a fraud or not a fraud. And sometimes government can try for open up with business people there.
But I think so, I want for disagree small bit. We get a lot of people away for the check business people them. For example, you get the financial intelligence units. You get the cyber and other things then.
Yes. At the Camdi, you understand? And I can say on the side of the president, governance is like a generator or a car or government in general. It's made up of different parts. You agree with me? Say if you motor car new in new. It gets enough fuel. It gets everything correct. If in plug, when I just something or small thing, if in plug, plugs them, not the on, or one of them, not the on, they find out say that motor car didn't move. You understand? So that's so motor car they made up of, and that's so government is made up of different parts. So every side will play in your role. You get the FIU, where as you put them, now the responsibility or do a check. And one problem normal way I get with the government in general, that the fact say them for the cross-check certain people and for the scrutinize certain people. And possibly I get somebody waiting at the UK, we tell me, bring an issue about that. They tell me, say, hey Marcus, how will I come to the wrong so? For say government's not able to get the money where this businessman can with. And say they want for start for do business. You understand? Yes. But say we not get an individual government not able for produce that money, they rather they allow foreigner for come and do that. Government for the endeavor for check. So for say the president actually encourage actually don't want to accept that, because sometimes you cannot find the mind's construction in the face. But that make you get 10 units there so that the responsibility of the president now, for make sure say, then people we so then sack them. You understand?
Okay.
Because you don't bring the name of the president to
dispute. And also you know for accept say the president, this man meet with the president. That is why you always don't talk about the FIU and other things then. Before you know the president at the face of we country. For just shake hand with somebody with a criminal, the media get way out and go tamam. If, for example, now the first world we talk about, for let you get the first, let you get the president of the first world, let's say, for example, US or UK or other side, shake hand with somebody when a criminal. That day a lot don't make plenty things them. It bring up plenty, a media outcry. Yeah. So that's not an excuse for saying no or no. That is why it gets, security details for actually the check with everybody when it go meet. Not to just for say this person a businessman and welcome him.
So yes, to some extent. But what I try to say is the country don't face a lot of challenges of recent times. Where most times then they say a global factor, you understand? And sometimes when businessmen come, the issue of housing is very serious, right? The president, okay, they not shake hand with him because a criminal, right? They shake hand with him because he comes as an investor. So apart from the president, you also get other institutions there.
Marcus, what do you say so now? Like when you will say, for example, Osama bin Laden come as a businessman in America and can shake hand with George Bush.
Yes, again, but we'll therefore look at and say, prior to Osama bin Laden becoming a terrorist, right? Either in hiding or not, he was in America. He
So
grew up
waiting I
in
mean the
America for
outcry
a take-off
waiting
training.
gas dandy. Then claim
It
then
was
blame them for that.
devastating. It was devastating.
Yes, and then blame them for that.
For say, yes, at a glance.
Yes.
At a glance, sometimes, you understand, are very critical. And in being a critical job, you understand, I know they just hit one side. On the side of the president, you understand, you cannot find the mind construction in the face. But in terms of in leadership, of governance, you understand, in institutions, them don't fail we. In institutions, they don't undermine them.
So now
because
that's what they say.
do.
Not only the president in your fault down there, because that is why he gets a team when support for the check. So if the president, for example, the issue of LAC was similar to this, according to what you understand, they mislead the president for sign something like that one day. So he like everybody, the people that were near don't always they fail in serious national security things them. Or serious matters the way people get concerned over.
But this whole thing has to kickbacks where some government officials and want. When somebody come, let's say expect, okay, where the billions there should be for me 102. You understand it? Without doing, proper hair split analysis on the porting. And that they affect even with mining areas them. You understand? We make this country also, you understand it? Not the progress. Because if you look at the mining sector, some people will just come with some money. You understand? Where they can do flamboyant PowerPoint presentation. You understand? The government become convinced as to which them present, it give them without cross-checking in the first place, waiting at the money, almost then gets at the account. Then therefore cross-check on this man. Let me for don't do that. You understand? Immediately this man come. Therefore, don't fail wait for cross-check.
But now, look at the other part. Apart from the government institution, we find out even banking institutions, them not even do cross-check. They all don't vow, and even some people, some bank don't begin put plenty millions of leons into this particular project. They not check. You get me? Did you get me?
Yes.
Yes. I say even some bank institution wey suppose for the online check they not even check, they just go and begin give money like that.
Forget rich. Yes, I get you. Right? And the appetite forget rich. Because I get you clearly. I don't know if you get me.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I get that. Yes. Yes. And some of them even involved. Some of them involved. You know,
I don't know if they get you right now, Marcos.
This man can
Marcos, I don't know if they get you right now. The line they get you problem. Did they get me now?
Okay, probably. Yes, me they get you clearly.
Right,
I don't know where.
Go ahead again.
Yes. So as a result of that, government has a responsibility for make sure say any businessman we can at this country or any activity where they want to undertake, whether now for help the country or not help the country, then for cross-check that individual. Now, all man they point up the fingers at the president, especially whether we don't go take picture of the president. Now, you don't use that picture there. You understand? For go all over the place. For lull people and say, I get business with the president. The president is my friend.
Good.
You understand?
Now you don't use,
so you don't use all our day.
When
the president himself not aware, as the president, he make himself open. You come with your business. That's it, for example, we don't go programs. There are certain times I can scared as a public figure. I don't go programs them where at the end of the program, it is people in the country, but let's start with you. Let's start with you. You understand? It happen. You understand? For example, students. I don't go program where organized by a civil society activist and a legal person invites students them and all that. They be so curious. Everybody wants to snap with you. You understand? So who knows? Right? Sometimes they can even use that for blasphemy. So these are the problems. And I make the president open, he just get for entertain, he just get for encourage, people them, because that the aspects of governance, right? But the long and short of it is there is a blunder. And we give thanks and praises to Dr. John Idris Lahai. I believe say now in the whistleblower about this, now do investigation. We need for respect him. He don't contribute immensely to the development of this nation, for save the nation. But sometimes we frown at her, we wash out eyebrows. But the fact
So,
remains
so since you talk about
that
this, let's ask you this question. Why is it that ACC not like forgive credit to who that they start something rather than go say na the investigation or na the partner they work with? Why is it that? Because we don't see several times they come, Africanists don't they blow, whistle, then we say no, na the president. For example, the Chancery building, Africanist president starts the whole conversation, but then say no, na the president. And Dr. Idris Lai starts this same conversation, then say no, na them and then counterpart. Why? Why they not give credit to people them? How the one that they help them to fight?
well, this a what they call organizational behavior. You understand? And that we expect the leadership to accept certain things that are right. Because when you look at the Chancery building, except to that blind, but everybody knows say that it today was raised by the Africanist press. When you talk about these recent developments, we always say it was raised by Dr. John Idris Lahai.
Yes.
You understand? So as a result of that, I think the ACC to commend them. It don't mean nothing. You understand? For make you succumb and you praise somebody for doing a good job. That's a good job because the ACC for not undertake them so prior to them being brought to the attention of the public. But it wasn't done, right? Now only now that we see it in the push. Right, so the ACC, SF, they try, they do their work. Are they partner with them? As a matter of fact, are they partner with them? But I expect say, therefore, do what is right. John Idris Lahai, we almost say, must be commended on this issue also. So if he must be commended, then the onus is upon the ACC to accept that. You understand and say, yes, man, you are trying. So that is it.
Right. And I think say now the issue then and I go one follow talk because of time and you yourself get for go do your own little things for the day. So I actually want for we move now and come to the conclusion of this particular program. But if that be the case, one thing that I would just want to ask you quickly on this particular issue. Mampa Mind's mother, PC Koblo Queen speaks out. After this thing that happened for a long time. You are aware of this issue?
Not exactly.
Not exactly. Okay, so if that be the case, I think I move. I'm not going to labor on that particular issue day. Except we move now to the end of this particular program for today. What do you expect? What do you expect from the APC as then they go for their running mates today?
We expect say the APC for choose the right person. Right, in the sense we will give them advantage for win the elections because a lot of concerns have been raised, a lot of issues don't come up, but we get two contending candidates. I want to say them two contending candidates and they all fit. They all two fit for actually take over the enviable position of a running mate. So, but the onus stay upon Dr. Samuel Kamara. Which he did do. We are not politically charged. We make sure say we do it right. And I make in me newspaper front page, I think I state say needless outcry, right? As APC to choose the right running mate. So they expect say them go choose the right running mate, especially the APC don't go through embattled, challenges for choose the standard bearer or flag bearer. Understand? We now be a long drawn out battle, punctuated with injunctions, court cases, and all that. But at the end of the day, they're able to forget the person of Dr. Samuel Kamara. So, he as an individual, for also look at the politics, you understand, and decide for choose an individual we consider say then we're able to work with, right? If you do so, then it will be fine. So all Sierra Leoneans right now, the APC and the and the other political parties alike, we civil society, and also huge lots of Sierra Leoneans, they look forward as to waiting the SFPP or waiting the APC will do in respect of having a running mate. And we want to make that situation be settled, let the dust be settled, so that at least we move forward. Right, the country move forward for the good of the nation and for the political dispensation of this country, democracy, rights, goes with responsibility, just like we talk about human rights. Me they call on all Sierra Leoneans for exercise political tolerance. And they talk to Sierra Leoneans then, let them avoid the use of antics and rhetorics about tribal things, about political intimidation and all that, because of the fact, say, in politics, we all get divergent views. And for the mere fact that we get divergent views, and not necessarily means, say, person, we not get me view for becoming enemy, but for exercise political tolerance to the highest degree. With that, the country will move forward. It will move forward. And again, this election, Lord make sure, say, we conduct them freely and fairly, with transparency and accountability.
Okay.
Sorry, so far so good.
Thank you.
I think, yeah, thank you too.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the analysis. Then you don't try for sit down at the middle of the fence, or make sure say you give your views in as much as you did in the voice of the people, CSO, and the voice of the journalist, the paper and pen, but you don't try for give your best. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yes. And one thing I want to say is the fact that a lot of people, they misunderstand the role played by civil society.
Okay.
Especially we own civil society. Civil society is made up of different groups, different interests. Me own civil society, they look at the service of democracy and good governance.
Okay.
And we get a niche in democratic accountability. And that niche, they speak, say, we use voice for demand accountability. And in doing that, we they endeavor for make sure, say, anything will go wrong, you understand, by a public official, we bring that public official into account. But a lot of people need to understand that when you come out, you begin to look at issues that they consider you for be opposition, you understand?
Or trying to undermine the government.
Yes, if at all we kind of not do for apply the brakes on the government, then we run to a speed where then we collide, and collision will lead to a destruction. You understand? So that make we day as civil society, we're very critical of government and critical on issues of national interest. The objective now for make sure say we promote democratic accountability. And not only the promotion of democratic accountability, we also look at the issue of transparency. We look at the issue of unity, you understand, human rights and all that. Because of the fact, say, if nobody know there for talk, things they go bad. And somebody been talk say, I don't know if it'll be Malcolm X or which is he say you for stand for something or you live for nothing. You understand, die for something or you live for nothing. So as a result of that, now this area also we choose for all public officials to account for promote socio-economic services. That is to say, so for make sure say the goods and services are affordable and accessible to the people. So that make most times I will only do advocacy on fuel for prevent the soaring of fuel prices with a lot of press releases. Then also don't do work on public officials then, where at least we not feel satisfied with, right? So these are the issues, and that is what we stand for. And people are not for misunderstand me. It don't mean say because which you want and not share, then me.
It not go down every day. No. As long as you want to talk on critical issues, then people must class you. People must tell you things them way now for just one for discourage you, but and I just feel say no more. At the time this way, you don't need for too much to listen to what people say, especially the one where they try for put you down. You know, always you concerned about now for see how best you can for focus on what you did do, because we say face with that every day. But you get for no say the more you grow and the more you get the attention of people, the more you get people really come na that area. So you get forget one focus for make sure say you do anything people sabi you for and you continue for do the best. That's all. Thank you very much, Marcus, for joining inside the program this morning. I appreciate your time at the program. God bless you, and I wish you all the best as you start the week.
Yeah, thank you. I wish you the same.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much on all. But you will not like the program yet, please consider for like the program and share them. Thank you very much. And the producer for this program actually, Elias Bangura Abwase Marcos. na Ilyas Abangura na the producer for this program. Well, I want to tell you all thank you for joining me inside the program today. It's been a very, good and robust analysis from Marcus. Well, until we meet again inside another program where now we add na net. I want to tell you, say this net get for be different because we get for look at the commission where they set up for look inside the Auditor General in issue, and we actually get some things that way know where the government say hide where we want for come and expose today. With regards, all that the delay with the case, and because we see the government several times, Imran, Minister of Information, don't they blame, they want them where they can go. But we will come and explain to us several things them where you need for know. So join me this night for we talk about the issue of the Auditor General, yeah, and why the case still the delay. We will start with that, and then we look at the way how they don't spend a lot of money. We will look at several things them, and after that one day we will begin look at again the main reason when they come out, because the government just to talk about professional misconduct, but we get for go inside and delay, deliberate on all of them things that they follow you understand exactly waiting they happen. Okay, so join me this night 9 p.m. Salon time. Follow me talk about different things then. Until then, my name is Pierre the Freedom Fighter. God bless we country Sierra Leone, where we call we are. Thanks to the producer one more time, Ilyas Abba. Thanks to you who don't come and watch the program. Thanks to you who don't like the program. Thanks to you who don't comment, and thanks to you who don't share. We appreciate you. But if you don't like the program, please consider for do so now. If you not share, please consider for do so now. And another part of the program again, we as well say we they go for 100,000. Right now they talk about 68,460 people where we can call family members. We don't subscribe to our channel na YouTube, and 44,000 and some hundred where they na Facebook. Thank you very much. But if you not like and follow we page it, please consider for do so now. Thanks one more time. My name is Pierre the Freedom Fighter. We love you so much.
Another morning again inside we had plenty things then they happen. I wonder how news again what go here today. But this be small country we had. Anyway, before I go to the wala now we had, let's just go to my kitchen and check my colors.
Yes, colors. Some man really like for it in the morning. Some people say them just like when they eat don't sleep. Other people say na the cow they like, especially when they cook the soup or plasas where they like pass all. So now that make we dey bring to you this program where we call Colres, as we dey look at different story them na the front page and inside the news.